Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Chuck. My name is James Kay. I'm the Director of Community Relations for the Santa Monica Bar. And I'm going to start out by answering a question that I've been asked a number of times, like, why are you guys doing this thing? So, I mean, even the panel asked this. And I do want to say they accepted without knowing anything about really why we wanted to do it, just on the information that we shared about what we were, in terms of our vision and the charity that we're supporting. But Steve's going to get to that. So anyway, what inspired this for me in working with Steve and I actually met here last month, and it was like maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Independently didn't know each other. So this is kind of like a circular moment. And both of us work in different disciplines, but we have the common interest of art. What led to this for me, and Steve can absolutely understand the experience, is a number of attorneys, when you hear about the word attorney, you hear about fun or anything like that, that's usually not something it's not the first thing on anybody's mind. And even when I talked about it tonight, they're like, oh, well, you come tonight, it's going to be fun. They're like, why would fun? Attorneys? That doesn't make any sense to me. There are people that are close to me. One, a friend of mine, is an attorney that actually helped me with a matter many years ago. And he was explaining how he got burnt out and lost the joy of being an attorney. So our hope is that, first of all, those of you that are here that are attorneys, there is a beauty and creative element to what you do. And there's an element to it that hopefully is fun. And we want to give you an opportunity to kind of get in touch with that or understand that through this conversation we're going to have tonight.
All right, thank you so much, James. And briefly, I'm Steve. I'm president of the Bar Association. As James said, we put this event together to get into deeper questions about just the idea of persuasion and when a discipline becomes executed so well that it becomes an art form. Like I could communicate something, I could scribble something on a piece of paper. People wouldn't really call it art, even if the message was simple. But what these folks have done is they've taken their craft to such a level where it has to be recognized that they are at the top of the craft. So we're going to ask them some questions. We're going to get into it and find more about maybe the way their minds work and how they see the world, I hope. And I also just want to briefly mention before we get into the speakers, by the way, Sean Hawley, Laura Wasser, Carl Douglas, respectively, they practice civil and criminal, family law, and civil and criminal as well. But they do it on a very epic scale. So, anyway, the arts charity that we're going to give the money to at the end of the day is called Inner City Arts. And we'll have a brief word about that at the end. But they're a local charity that supports artists in underserved communities right here in Los Angeles. Part of our mission at the bar is to serve the community, and especially these days with arts funding being cut, the NEA being cut, sometimes the community is all you have, and you want to make sure that you're out in front and letting people know that you have their backs and you're supporting people. So I'm just going to go ahead and allow the speakers to briefly introduce themselves and say whatever they want to say. It could be 10 seconds or whatever before we get into the questions. So we'll start with Sean.
Hi. My name, is this working?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Sean Hawley, and I'm a partner at a business entertainment litigation firm, but I come from a criminal defense background. I was a public defender. So kind of where those two things merge, people say it's celebrities behaving badly. But Johnny used to say we represent the OJs and the no-Js, and I really, frankly, to represent the no-Js, because I'm a public defender at heart. So anyway, that's it.
I'm Laura, and I work with Wasser, Cooperman, and Mandels, and we are a family law firm in every sense of the word. My dad is here tonight. He's a family law attorney and has been for many years. I grew up here in Southern California, in Los Angeles, and when the guys asked me to speak tonight, I love the idea that we are doing something that kind of gives back to inner city kids, is involved with art. I think a lot of times when you say that you are a lawyer, and even worse, a family law attorney, which is really just a euphemism for a divorce lawyer. People kind of wrinkle their noses. We're like the meter maids of law. But we actually, I tell myself, help people get through miserable times and move on to the next chapter of their lives. And in addition to that, doing things like this here tonight and some of the other nonprofit work that we do at the firm makes me feel good about being a Los Angelina and having kids that I'm raising here. And so I am very grateful for the opportunity to be able to be with you all tonight.
And my name is Carl Douglas, and I'm a trial lawyer. And I say that to distinguish myself from being a litigator. I'm the owner of Douglas Hicks Law. I'm also from LA. And this is the first time in a while I've spoken to folks that paid to be here. So thank you all for showing up on
All right. So I'll start with the first question. So each of you would like to give you each an opportunity to say something about the question that I'm going to ask, and Steve has some questions as well. So this is unrehearsed.
Absolutely.
They did not receive the questions ahead of time, so you're hearing a candid response.
Can you believe this is unrehearsed? Absolutely unrehearsed.
So the first question is for each of you, and I'll start. Actually, I'm going to ask Carl to answer first. Yeah. How do you connect with your clients on a personal level? And if so, how does that enhance or advise your advocacy?
For me, I have always preferred the problems of people to corporations. Were I not a lawyer, I would probably be a psychologist, because what I do as a lawyer is help folks with problems. It's funny that people don't plan to get arrested. They don't plan to get hurt. They do plan to get sued. So corporations hire firms, but my clients hire people. And it's very important for me that I relate to them on a personal level. Everyone that I see as a client has a problem. They've been injured. They've lost their job. They've been treated unfairly by the police, or they've been charged with a crime perhaps. And so for me, the personal and interpersonal part of my practicing law is what I am most proud of. I like to say that I will represent the orneriest of women that you could ever see. Because they weren't as bad as my ex-wife.
That is true.
So for me, most of my clients will only have a lawyer my one time, and it's important for me on a personal level to connect with them, because I have to know their story to be able to translate that story to a jury. I'm also a frustrated actor, so the title, The Art of Law, really spoke to me as a subject matter. So what I do as a trial lawyer is try to convey the story of my client to 12 strangers.
So we don't have juries in family law, so it's very rare that I would be in front of a jury. But we do obviously have to connect with our clients similarly, have some compassion, know what they're going through. As a parent, as a co-parent, as a spouse, you have to kind of be able to know what your client needs to hear. Yet at the same time, one thing that I find a lot of family law attorneys do is get sucked into the role of therapist or friend. I'm not your friend. And I'm also not your therapist because I'm really not qualified. I'm a hot mess personally. So truly, one of the things that's important to do, I think, as a family law attorney, and you would be doing your clients a disservice if you weren't able to say, this is a business transaction. I know what you're going through. I feel what you're going through. I've gone through it personally and professionally. But let's focus on that. And you can call your therapist who costs less money and is more qualified, or your mom, or one of your friends to talk about the date or what he did and what a jerk he is and everything else later. Let's focus on this. And so that's one of the things I think is really important. And sometimes as family law attorneys, we forget to do that, and that causes problems in terms of the interpersonal relationships Carl was talking about with clients.
One of the things that was amazing about being a public defender, and Carl was also a public defender, a federal public defender a long time ago, is that you represent people who truly need you. It could be a mother who is stealing diapers for her baby because she can't afford them. So even though she's guilty because she stole the diapers, your heart goes out to her and your job really becomes more of a social worker. And you feel a sense of reward in helping someone like that. Which is why it was very difficult when I went to an entertainment litigation firm and was told, you're going to be representing Paris Hilton now. Because none of those things seemingly applied in representing somebody who appeared to have, you know, the world on a string. The person that I think I most identify with representing is Lindsay Lohan, who in many ways was like Paris in that she was perceived as somebody who had everything going for her: beauty, youth, money, fame, all of the things that we covet, I guess. And again, I'm coming from a public defender environment, so it was hard for me to understand her and some of the choices that she made. But the reality is, all of these people, all of my clients generally are going through the toughest time of their life. And at the end of the day, she also is a very frightened little girl. And there are a number of people who are out to get her and see her get got and want to be there to cheer when she's taken into custody. And I really consider it an honor to stand up for her and all of my clients and protect her and be an advocate for her. And that sort of bond is really important. And even when the relationship ends, I think that that bond remains in many ways, and I really consider it an honor to do what I do and to have those sorts of relationships.